Well, I'm pleased to say we're now joined by the Labour MP Diane Abbott, the former Shadow Home Secretary and now, of course, Mother of the House. Thank you very much for being on the programme. What do you make of the government's response to the situation in Gaza?
I think they're going in the right direction. Some of us were a bit alarmed when, at the beginning of the war, Keir Starmer was saying Israel has a right to defend itself. Clearly, it was awful what happened in 2023, but the Israelis have now killed 50,000 Gazans. That's not about defending themselves. And some of them are right-wing members of the government. They just want to clear all the Palestinians out.
What do you think the UK government should be doing then? You say it's moving in the right direction, but what would you like to see them do?
You know, I think we need to stop sending arms to Israel. I think we need to say clearly that this seems tantamount to genocide, what the Israelis are doing. Actually, genocide is kind of a legal term, but we can say it's tantamount to genocide. And I think we can offer some leadership. In the same way we're offering leadership in Ukraine, we should be offering leadership to the rest of Europe in relation to Gaza.
Should we expel the Israeli ambassador? They've called the Israeli ambassador in, of course.
I don't know, expelling him would... I think it's good that he's been called in. I just think we need to put much more pressure on the Israelis than we have done.
I guess, you know, you mentioned Ukraine there, and what many would say is that this is something that has been started by a terrorist attack on Israel, where people were murdered, raped, taken hostage.
But...
And for Israelis, some feel that this is existential, you know, that there are terrorist groups that don't want them to exist, so they are fighting for their right to exist in a history where people have wanted Jews to be eliminated.
What the Palestinians, well, Hamas did was appalling. But since then, the Israelis have killed over 50,000 people. And you can literally see pictures on your television of children starving to death. They're trying to keep out baby food today. I mean, I believe that what is happening is that Netanyahu, who was in court before all of this happened, and his very right-wing allies are keeping the war going because he wants to keep out of court. I think with another Israeli leader, they would have wound it down by now. We
saw, of course, independent candidates taking votes off Labour at the election because of what they saw as a weakness when it comes to Gaza. Do you think that that will continue to happen unless Keir Starmer takes a stronger stance?
People feel very strongly, and not just the Muslim community. People in Hackney feel very strongly. People raise it on the doorstep with Labour MPs. And, you know, to lose 4 Labour constituencies, and others came very close. And because people feel we should have a stronger and a clearer stance. But as I say, we're moving in the right direction now.
If I may, because I don't get the opportunity to interview you every day, I'd like to ask you about a few domestic things as well. Because you have expressed some worries that Keir Starmer is echoing reform in his language about immigration. I just wondered if you could expand on what you mean about that.
Well, when you talk about an island of strangers, I had said publicly to other Labour MPs, my parents loved Britain. You can't believe how much that generation of migrants loved Britain. My parents even had a picture of the Queen on the wall. And so to say they don't want to integrate, to say they're strangers, I think that's very wrong. Of course immigration is an issue. Of course we have to talk about policy. But let's not adopt Enoch Powell-esque language. I just think it's unfair on communities which have given so much to this country and really love this country.
Do you think that talk of people who have worries about integration are wrong?
Well, what can I tell you? I'm a Londoner, I'm a Hackney girl. I mean, for better or worse, Hackney people of all different communities are integrated. I'm not saying people don't get cross, I'm not saying people don't fall out, but you couldn't campaign in Hackney saying Hackney is an island of strangers. People wouldn't know what you were talking about.
I guess maybe that's what Number 10 think, that a message in London doesn't translate so well to other constituencies?
Well, you know, I've been in Parliament this week, and MPs all over the country are alarmed about this, because what you do when you are peddling this idea about, you know, an island of strangers and the dangers that immigrants have caused, what you are doing is you are legitimising Nigel Farage. And I don't believe we'll get a lot of those Reform voters. But what we will do is upset the Labour base.
Is it legitimising racism?
It's legitimising anti-immigrant feeling. It doesn't help us. You know, if you want an anti-immigrant party to vote for, you're going to vote Reform.
You were talking there about the alarm on the Labour benches about the language around immigration. And, of course, there has been concern over cuts to winter fuel payments and disability benefits as well. How much is that widespread, and how much is it what I guess Number 10 would think of as the usual suspects?
No. People that went out to campaign in the Runcorn by-election and in all the council, they said that was what people were raising on the doorstep. People who are Labour people. And when you do the polling, the top issue isn't immigration. The top issue is winter fuel payments. And then I think third is PIP, you know, the disability payments. That is what people keep raising. And MPs, not London MPs actually, but MPs in those areas in the north and so on, they're very alarmed. The only thing I would say, though, is that in the general election, there were about 90 seats the Labour Party won, and about, well, not just 90 seats, but there were 90 seats that we won, and Reform was second. And that has panicked people. That has panicked people. Now, I think the response to that is to fight them as Labour, not to try and be carbon copies of Nigel Farage. What
do you think of Keir Starmer?
Well, I think he's done very well on some of the foreign policy stuff recently. I was concerned about what he was saying about welfare, what he was doing about welfare. I don't think he understood how much it was upsetting people. He felt it was something he had to do, but I tell you, Labour MPs from all over the country are worried about it.
I guess I was interested where you say the way to tackle Reform is to fight them as Labour. Do you think that Keir Starmer is, I'm trying to work out the right way of putting this, do you think that he is acting as if he belongs in the Labour Party, in the Labour tradition?
Well, all I can say is a lot of people, and not just the usual suspects, as you're saying, were very upset about his speech last week in Island of Strangers. We had a Parliamentary Labour Party meeting on Monday, and, you know, what happens in the PLP stays in the PLP. But as we were coming out, some of the people, because I spoke to people in the day, some of the people who were most alarmed said, you know, if he'd spoken like that on Monday, we wouldn't have all been so upset, because he talked about wanting to lead a unified party. He talked about wanting to fight Farage's Labour. I think it was just some of the language last week that upset people.
So what's going on then? Do you think that he is saying things that he doesn't really believe because he's been advised badly by someone Number 10?
I think he's been advised badly. I think that in Number 10, elements in Number 10 think the way to fight Farage is to sound like Farage. And some of us don't think being a kind of milk and water version of Farage is going to win us many constituencies.
So what would you say to those advisors? They might be watching now. They probably are.
I would say try giving him better advice. Try giving him better advice, because the advice you're giving him about immigration, what he should say about immigration, isn't working. It's not working for him, and it's not working for the Labour Party.
OK, thank you very much indeed. Diane Abbott there from the Labour Party.